I'm happy to have in studio with me today 35th District Representative Dan Griffey. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning, Jeff.
You got a busy day today. I understand you're a little under the weather. I appreciate you coming in and talking with me about things. So we'll try to get this in and out as painless as possible. But you've got some possibly, 7 bills that you have worked hard on that could come into lawsuit?
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. It's the rewards for all the hard work. It's kind of nice to see that they're making them out. So
these are the ones that you are the main sponsor.
Main sponsor,
of?
Yeah.
That's very impressive,
Yeah.
and that's a large. There are hundreds of laws that enacted over the course of a session, but to have that many from one rep locally here, you're doing some good work over there.
That's pretty good. I made a very conscious effort, like I told you in the beginning of our series this year, Jeff, that I wanted to where I could be bipartisan, I was going to be, and
yeah.
I actively did my best to reach across the aisle and say, if there's something we can agree on, I want to be agreeable as opposed to disagreeable. Now, there's going to be times, and there's a lot of things we're going to disagree on, but when we can agree and we can get things done together that help all Washingtonians, I want to be there with you.
Sounds like the construction budget, as I talked with State Senator Tim Sheldon and your counterpart as well in the House, Drew McEwen, that the construction budget doesn't ever really seem to be that super contentious as compared to the other budgets. Are there some of the things that you've been sponsoring that will be impacted by potential budget negotiations? Are they all separate with what's going on?
Well, the capital budget is what you're talking about. It is not contentious. As a matter of fact, the bond votes take a 60% majority, and we can get there almost every time.
Yeah,
you can look back in history and find very little times where they didn't agree on a bond vote. There's lots of neat projects. I'm kind of proud of Turning Point. They needed a big kind of a kitchen upgrade, and we were able to get them that. And this year, because we had such a low amount of capital budget money, I told everyone that was asking for a capital budget request to make your request low, make them modest, and make them something that you can complete with a small amount of money. And we were rewarded. I was talking to Senator Sheldon. Boy, that was a good idea. That means we got a lot more projects because they were scored very well. And it's a really good team that we have, and Drew, Tim, and I, and Olympia, and we get a lot of things done for the 35th District.
Yeah, it is really impressive the amount of work that gets done here for the people here in the 35th. I just am really impressed with these 7 bills. What are some? I know you probably have. You love them all because they're your babies. But what are you going to be able to take away from this session? That hopefully they do get signed into law, and if they do, what's something that you're going to be able to really go, man, I affected a lot of good change on this one?
Well, I'll give you 2, and I've talked to you about all of them, so you probably know them by heart. But the senior center tax exemption means a lot to me, and I think it means a lot to our seniors, a lot. And, they can do a lot more money than the state can do, with that money than the state can do for our local seniors. And the marijuana lockbox, it doesn't seem like a big thing, but, let's really promote, if we're going to have this as a legal substance in Washington State, let's really promote the safety of our children. And those 2 are going to be the big takeaways. And not to mention, the other one that the FD Cares bill, I think could save millions of dollars in unnecessary transports to emergency rooms, more of a kind of a tune-up check, and kind of help you make a informed decision. So I think the 3 of those bills could really have long-lasting ramifications for everybody in the state of Washington. And I'm proud of all of them. It's like asking a father which child is your favorite. Well, I don't have one.
You may have one. You just don't express it.
Exactly.
Very
yes.
Nice. 8:20 here, talking with 35th District Representative Dan Griffey. Any comments on the strike last night from the U.S. into Syria? Any thoughts on that?
It worries me a little bit, but you got to look at it 2 ways. I think the United States needs to. I don't want us to be the police officers of the world,
right.
But we need to put our foot down when somebody uses sarin gas on somebody. That just can't be allowed. But I'm mixed in my emotions. I don't want to get started into some other war and get go off onto some other direction with Russia and the whole hornet's nest thing. And I want us to be able to chill for a little while and calm down. But it's a tough job being commander-in-chief, and I wouldn't want to have to be the one that had to make that decision.
I was wondering last night, and you brought it up, the world's police. You never hear of another country, not never, but you know what I mean. You never really hear of another country taking that first step like we do so often in these times.
Yeah, I think I'm a big, passionate history buff, and you look at the times where the United States didn't. It cost us a lot.
Yeah.
So I think what the United States has taken away from that is maybe if we acted earlier in World War I, we wouldn't have lost so many men. Mm-hmm. And maybe if we'd have acted earlier in World War II, well, maybe we wouldn't have lost so many men.
Yeah.
Maybe if we would have forced Adolf Hitler to live up to the negotiated armistice, the end of World War I. I think maybe that's why the United States has kind of been put in this strike first policy, is like, maybe if we strike first, then we don't get, less Americans have to lose their lives. I think so from history, but I don't know. Maybe that's why.
I get what you're saying. You do see, and you say, well, it could have been a lot worse if we had not.
Yeah, just think about if, in World War II, they weren't allowed to build a tank of this size. They weren't allowed to build, the Bismarck. We all hear about the Bismarck. That was too big a battleship.
Yeah.
If somebody would have come in, if there would have been a United Nations, something like that, the Woodrow Wilson wanted the League of Nations. Mm-hmm. We didn't get that done. Maybe that's one of the reasons. But if that wasn't allowed, and maybe we wouldn't have had the 50 million people arguably died in that conflict.
Yeah, that's a good point, Dan.
So I don't know. It worries me. I worry for the country. I really hope that if there's ever a time that the United States could have very good diplomacy, I want it right now.
Yeah.
Now.
That would be a good time. Well, very nice, and well said. I'm glad to have your thoughts on that. Dan Griffey, 35th District Representative here in the great state of Washington. Have a good weekend, and I do hope you start to feel better real soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it.